Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. The market is teetering on our final support level. If we sell off from this, we are most likely going to be starting a multi-month correction for Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto markets. However, if we end up holding support right here, we are looking at one final blow off top. There is either the opportunity for a ton of profit or we're about to see a long-term correction take place and the first long-term correction of this new bull trend. For today's video, I'm going to be mapping out exactly where I think the price of Bitcoin is headed, the two scenarios that we can play from here, and how to go about profiting off of it, whichever way the direction of the market takes place. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so here we are to start off today's video. For the people that have been asking me where I've been, haven't been feeling very good. I've actually lost my voice a little bit, so if I sound a little bit off, that's also why. Now, what we're going to be talking about here, guys, is a very important update. So make sure you stay all the way to the end because I don't want you to miss out on anything that I'm going to be explaining because we're going to be talking about the bullish case scenario and the bearish. So if you want to know where I think the direction of the market is headed, this will be the video that summarizes exactly that. Now, there's two scenarios, guys. Right off the bat, we're going to be touching up on my last analysis that I talked about, and this is where things get interesting. Now, we talked about why we needed to hold this level as support when we were over in this area here, even when we were over in this area up here before this massive correction. We were talking about how as long as we held support above this range from basically 29.2 back down to about 28.7 approximately, then that would probably be a bullish scenario before we ended up getting continuation. What we didn't end up saying was that level hold as support. Even when we sold off back down in here and rebounded, this support became resistance. And if we're looking at where we're at today, even though we're back inside of this green box, this isn't the area where we want to be in. This is closing into this box as resistance, right? And so it's still possible that we could get a breakout, we hold it as support and get continuation. It's not like I'm riding off the bullish scenario. It's just that now that we've sold off and now that we're closing below this resistance level, this is no longer acting as support, it's now acting as resistance. And so with that happening, we could be in for a deeper correction. And if that is the case, what will that look like? Well, right off the bat, guys, when we're looking at this, I think that the most clear indication of the direction that we're going to see in the market has a lot to do with what we see in the total market cap as well. Now, when we look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin to me looks more bullish. When we look at Bitcoin here, even though we're closing back below this resistance, this structure looks a little bit more like we could see continuation. However, when we look at the total market cap, it does not look nearly as good. The problem with the total market cap is we had deviation. We did manage to break from this range, but then we instantly closed back below it. And right over here, we can see that we were closing below this resistance and below this resistance from the August highs. So now we have not only deviated, but now we've confirmed that this is now resistance and we're most likely going to see another drop to the downside. And that's the problem here. The total market cap is giving us the most clear picture that we're going to end up seeing more downside continuation. And I wanted to give you guys this update because for the last few weeks and really for the last few months, we've been bullish the entire run up here. And even inside of this correction, we got bearish over here at the top and we bought the dip inside of this correction move here before the most recent impulse. Now that we're at this point, I wanted to be bullish more than anything. I wanted this support to hold. I wanted to see us go for one final blow off top and finish off this move like 2019. But the problem is we have not done that. We deviated and now we're closing below resistance. And now it's looking like continuation. So I can't just lie to you guys. I'm never here in the business to just sell you a bunch of crap. If I believe the market is bearish, I'm going to come and tell you guys that the market is bearish. And as of right now, the market does look bearish. We have been unable to actually break out of this 300-day range and now we're closing back below. Now when we come over here and look at the altcoins, they're arguably in a worse position. Well, I mean, usually they are in the early part of the cycle. But this has been the analysis that I've been giving you guys for the last couple weeks. And I was comparing how this consolidation looks a lot like what we saw back in 2019 and 2020. Now, here's the problem. We were unable to hold this as support. Notice how perfectly we held that level over here in 2020. We corrected, we flipped that level as support, very clear to tell that we were holding it as support, and then that's what led to that big blow off top. The problem here is we did get that breakout, But when we sold back down, we ended up closing below, right? And so all of this consolidation was us rejecting. And so the altcoins are rejecting off a multi-month resistance right here. We've had multiple different attempts at a breakout. This one was deviation, and now that we're closing below, it's very obvious to tell for me that this is most likely going to set up for one more final drop. And I think the altcoins are going to go back down to this low, basically at $500 billion in total market cap, which if we pull up a Fibonacci, you're looking at basically the 618. It'd be even lower than the 618. You'd be basically between the 618 and the 786. And that's basically what I'm watching for the altcoins from here. I think that we're in for another drop inside of this market. And the same thing is most likely going to happen with the total market cap. And all of the charts are telling us this. That's kind of the problem here. When we're looking at Bitcoin, yeah, I mean, we definitely could hold support here, right? This thing could break out. We could break out and retest this level of support and continue going up. But the problem is we should have already done that. The fact that we closed back down, we rejected from that level being here when we were sitting on it as support, the fact that we've rejected and sold back down leads me to believe that this is bearish market structure. And I don't want to just tell you guys a bunch of crap. I don't want to sit here and tell you guys that you just need to be hopeful, that you need to just wait, and then it'll resolve itself. Because even though I do think it will resolve itself, the problem is we're now below resistance, and this is probably going to resolve to the downside. So you got to be prepared beforehand. You got to be aware of these things beforehand so that you can go ahead and make your own plan. Now, I don't know what that plan is for everybody else. Most of you guys don't try and trade. So for the vast majority of people, they're looking to just pick good, stable altcoins, solid investments, dollar cost average into those, and then just continue to kind of stick to that over the course of a cycle. So if that's you, then continue to stick to that. You're just going to get a dip to actually buy and add to more accumulation, right? Whereas for the people that are trying to trade, now is an important time to understand that if you've got a bunch of over leveraged positions, or you're in a lot of profit on something, or whatever it is, you might be on break even in something is at a slight loss and you're worried that it might go down a lot lower. Now is the time where it probably is about to be going down a lot lower. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin is dead. It doesn't mean that this impulse is the end and the beginning of another one of these into new lows. I'm not saying that by any means, but what I am saying is that if this is our first completed 5-wave impulse off the low, we'll be looking at something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we would expect to see some type of corrective move back down. We could be seeing something like this. A, B, and then one final massive C as we come back down, retest around this range, all the way back down to this support cluster before the FTX collapse. That's a big level that we haven't really retested. And I think it's something that most people have kind of written off because technically we retested it right here, but we retested this inside of wave 4. And oftentimes inside of an Elliott wave impulse, what you're going to see, you have wave 1, you have wave 3, you have wave 5, and then inside of your ABC correction, you'll see something like this. A, B, and then wave C will come back down and retest wave 4. And so if that's the case, we would be looking for a move all the way back down to basically sub $20,000. And if that's the case, you want to be aware of that before it happens, right? So I want to give you guys this analysis just as a way to summarize what I was thinking, what I'm seeing inside of the market, because we're now in murky waters. We've been unable to hold to the support level that I wanted to see us hold. And now that we're closing below, I think that most likely this resolves to the downside. Now is the time to position yourselves accordingly. One final chart here is the DXY. We have talked a little bit about this in my last update, why I believe that we are going to run to the mid-range point. And up to this point, we've actually seen the market rebound pretty nicely. So I'm still kind of watching that this is going to round out. To me, this looks like an Adam and Eve bottom formation, where you get this sharp capitulation bottom on the first one, and then the second one is kind of a rounded type of bottom. And that's what's called an Adam and Eve bottom formation. And even though I don't believe that this is an entire reversal of this bear trend, I do believe that we could be in store for a retest upwards of 105. But to be quite honest, I think that we're going to be going upwards of about 108 approximately, which would be something like that. And then we would start that next leg down in the cycle. So I don't think that this is anything that we'll see like massive continuation. To me, it looks like your standard A, B, and a C. The problem is we are going to see one final impulse before this is ultimately going to resolve to the downside. And if that's the case, then it would make sense that now would be the time where Bitcoin and the rest of the markets are looking to start a multi-month correction. And that's kind of what it's looking like in Bitcoin. I want more than anything to see this thing go for a blow off top. But as of right now, what we needed to see for that to happen has been unable to play out. So we got to look at the other scenario. And the other scenario is where the dollar ends up finishing its final impulse and I would just say a corrective impulse, because I'm not looking at this thing being like we're going to see another blow off top or anything like that. To me, this is a short-term correction before we see another leg down in this cycle. And so with Bitcoin, we could be in for a long period of reaccumulation in the same way that we kind of did in 2019. I'm not saying that the price action is going to look exactly the same, but the thing about Bitcoin here, guys, is we've talked a lot about how we didn't have to see a move all the way to the 618. Keep in mind, all of our cycles have been different. This cycle went to the 618 in our first leg up. The cycle in 2016, I don't even think it hit the 236, or it perfectly went in between both. Yeah, so it was between the 382 and the 236 that this consolidation happened. Now, if we look all the way back in this first cycle, this was the one that was actually the smallest, and it didn't even hit the 236, right? Went just below it and then went through a long period of reaccumulation. And so typically inside of our bull cycles, we haven't seen the largest moves. 2019 was just the one outlier in which we did see that. And so as it stands right now, we've pretty much hit the level that we needed to see. We already hit the 236. So for us to see a deeper correction back down, it would be right on par with all other price history in years past. The only difference would be 2019. But like I stated, 2019 was kind of an outlier. So if we are to go through this multiple month correction, I would say that the 618 being $21.4 thousand, all the way down to about the 786 being $18.8 thousand. That's really where I'd be looking for where you'd want to buy, or at least set buy orders and just look to accumulate if we ended up seeing something like that. Because this would be a deeper correction because we finished our first 5-wave impulse off the lows. And so oftentimes inside of wave 2 corrections, they can come pretty deep inside of the wave 1 market structure. So for us to come all the way down to the 786 really wouldn't be that crazy. And if that was the case, guys, we really could be looking at sometime at the end of this year before we're looking at a reversal point, right? And if that's the case, you guys definitely want to be aware of that. We don't want to be caught off guard by anything like that, because if we were, it would just suck because most people would lose a lot of money. To me, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like this before our final leg down, all the way back down to around the 618 to the 786, before going through a longer period of reaccumulation and then starting that next leg up. And if that is the case, it would resemble something similar to what we saw in 2019. The only difference is we would probably following something more like even in 2016, where we had these short impulses off the lows, and then we'd go through this long correction, short impulse, long correction, and we kind of just built a stable foundation before we went into new all-time highs. We don't know how this cycle is going to look, and so all we can do is just talk about either scenario. What we do know is we have a pretty big level of support for us to potentially come back down and retest, and so if we are due for a deeper correction, this is kind of the thing that I'm seeing playing out for all of our markets moving forward from here. So I did want to give you guys this update, summarize these thoughts, keep you guys in the loop of what I'm thinking. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, drop a comment in this video, email me, reach out to me on Twitter, Discord. I've got a number of ways, and you can find them inside of the description of this video. You guys can always reach out to me. I'm always happy to answer any questions that you guys have. This is kind of what I'm seeing fit, at least in the short term. But obviously, guys, if we end up seeing Bitcoin hold a support and then for us to get a blow off top, then you guys already know what I've been thinking from that point. What we're either right here before one final blow off top to finish this impulse, or we've already finished 5 waves up, being right here, and we're about to start a long multi-month correction, right? I don't know exactly what way it's going to take, but those are the 2 directions that I see. All we can watch is the short-term price action. If we continue to close below like we're doing right now, expect downward continuation. But anyways, guys, this is what I wanted to give you guys the update. Hopefully you're able to understand a little bit more of what I'm thinking. If you found value, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these updates. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook. Links are in the description for that. You guys can also sign up and follow all the trades that I take if you guys join in my Discord server. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, which is why I wanted to give you guys this quick update. Even though my voice is kind of waning, I wanted to make sure that you guys knew exactly what I'm thinking moving forward. So plan accordingly, and we'll see you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.